Town of Bucksport Cemetery Committee for Thursday, February 22nd. Roll call, Steve St. Peter,
Yes.
Mark Eastman's here, Chris Johnson,
Present.
Linda Moore.
Here.
All right. The third item is to approve minutes of the January 25th, 2024 meeting. Any input or changes?
No, they were good.
Okay.
I read it.
All right. Motion?
Motion to accept.
Third,
Second.
a second, I'm sorry.
All right. All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Discussion items, budget process update.
I was having a question about where we are. Where are we now? Is there a number out there in the preliminary budget, and do we have?
There is not yet. It is, everyone's budgets were due to me by last Thursday. And so I haven't gone beyond what has been submitted to me. I have not done the cemetery budget yet.
Okay.
So if there's things that you want in it, or you want, I mean, we have a better handle this year on time spent by Public Works and stuff, but that's more an internal accounting than it is a budgeting function. We're not gonna move wages out of Public Works down into cemetery because it becomes more difficult payroll-wise to keep breaking things out into smaller pieces. Public Works is Public Works.
The issue too could be that because of that, though, cemetery could take the hind end of any allocated hours that remain. That was my concern, and I don't know how you budget separately for the waterfront. That's a separate budget line, right?
Yeah, that's not under the highway at all.
So that means we're not gonna have a private contractor again trying to get one in there, into these cemeteries. It's gonna fall back to the, by the way, I'm not against putting it into Public Works as long as they don't, you know. have
Forget
to
it?
push Right, no, not that only, but they just don't get upset because we're pushing them harder than they need to be pushed. But that's
Well,
yours,
I
so-
think that, yeah, that is mine, that we need to determine, we had an independent contractor, and it's Oak Hill is the primary one, right?
Yeah.
And we had an independent contractor for a number of years, and they did it fairly frequently. And all the other cemeteries are not maintained at the same number of times as Oak Hill generally was. And I guess that I looked for some input from the committee, because the Public Works will do whatever I ask them to do in terms of frequency of mowing, or frequency of doing that. But if they were following the same frequency that they do other cemeteries, and that's not sufficient for Oak Hill, then I just, you know, if that one needs to be done every 2 weeks no matter what, or, I mean, we've had some weird years here lately that usually by August you don't have to mow
Right.
every,
Right.
And we mowed straight through last year.
I used to pray for droughts when I did Riverview,
Sure.
and tons of snow, so there'd be no Christmas decorations in the minutes. Didn't always happen.
Yeah, it doesn't always happen that way.
Mr. Cheerful.
Exactly.
Well, you know, that was my other thing, this thing that they did with Lambert, are they gonna give you total hours, or is he gonna bill you out to give you an idea what the hours are? Okay. I think that's what I've always been interested in. What are the total hours that Public Works is gonna have to spend on cemeteries in the town of Bucksport
Yep.
over the past couple of years?
And they have been doing that by project over the course of the year. So that's something that hasn't been done in the past,
Right.
because it was part of their regular routine, but Oak Hill wasn't, and Oak Hill has been because we could have not been able to find a contractor who's interested in doing that
Do you think it's
cemetery.
beneficial to put it back out in case the job market's any different this year? To see if, do you think that's easier, or do you think it's better just to leave it with Public Works?
I mean, Public Works would probably love it if I put it back out to bid and someone actually did it. That would be, I'm happy to try again. They're not saying, oh my goodness, don't give away.
We want that.
Yeah, we would love the fact that it takes us 22 hours to do that cemetery. That's our favorite thing.
Yeah.
You know?
And see, that's what I wanna avoid, though.
22
I really
hours
don't
of
want,
overtime?
yeah, I don't wanna have them, you know, upset.
Well, they're not, no.
But-
I'm, that, we have a very good crew. They will gladly do any work assignment that there is. They work for us 40 hours a week plus, and they're great guys who will do whatever is asked. So if we say, okay, we can't find a contractor and we want it done every 2 weeks, that's what will happen.
So if it's every 2 weeks, and we figure, what, 22 hours every time it's mowed, somewhere in that range of 22
Well,
man hours?
22 man hours, it was 2 people, 11 hours each, I
Right.
think it was what we did, and that included mowing and trimming and
Right, so
the
that's,
whole,
and I always figure that $30 an hour, which was around, that's pay and benefits. Was it around $660 every time you mow it, times every 2 weeks? You're gonna run in $5,000-6,000, no, it's not gonna be that much, just on Oak Hill alone.
Mhm.
So is that a number that could be included somewhere in a budget line somewhere, or is that
Well,
not a
if
good idea?
we advertised a contract for it, that would be a line item budget number.
Okay.
In that, because it's not paid to people that we're already paying to do
Okay.
100 other things.
What would be easier for you? Just go with the Public Works?
Well, I'm happy to put it out for contracting. You're right, maybe there's people that are,
There might be a shift in the job market a little bit, that somebody might say I'm willing.
Has
I'd be happy. Why don't I put it out, see what happens? If not, they'll,
Revert back.
What's today, February? We should have an answer by the end of April.
oh yeah, we'd have an answer before the end of April. If it's today's, well, it's pretty close to the end of February. Yeah, so probably mid-March, we could, if I put out a request for contracted mowing of Oak Hill, it would be, we could have it by our next meeting.
And then have the town do the rest of the cemetery.
Yeah, the way they do.
That sounds reasonable to me, to at least,
Yeah.
we try, and
Yeah.
if we don't,
We're gonna do a lot of work at Oak Hill, hopefully this summer as well, so
Yeah.
we're not sure how much mowing is gonna get done with all the work in that. We're gonna be taking trees out of there and stuff like that too, so.
well, if we hire, do you see that, somebody not being able to do it because of that?
That's what I'm wondering, but that's okay. It's okay. We're not doing it we're doing it on an hourly basis, right, in the contract. We're not,
I don't know, how does those typically work? You give a fee for the whole year, don't you? A
What
bid?
we had before was every time they did it, it was a certain amount per,
Okay. Okay,
mowing. And, the frequency was generally, as the season got longer, you didn't mow as many times in September as you did in May, or
Veterans Day presented an opportunity is
Yeah.
there at the end, so. All right,
okay, so if we put it out, for contract for Oak Hill and see what we get, then we'll know by, our next meeting anyway.
and, go ahead.
I just wonder if anybody had noticed that Orland has been advertising
Yeah,
and
I did see that.
advertising for several
Yeah.
weeks now. And,
well,
So
maybe seeing a
apparently-
second one will make somebody more, interested in taking it on. We'll see, I mean, it is a difficult road, who knows?
yeah,
So we good with that one?
Yeah, and if we assume that we'll have a new fence this year,
Yep.
and.
The trees, I talked to Jay about,
Oh, thank
Jay Lanfer, who's talking
you. Oh, you're
to
Jay, so to speak, yeah.
Big
Big-
Jay
Big Jay.
about,
Yeah.
The real Big J.
Yeah. This is being recorded.
Ouch.
really,
I hope,
yeah.
I hope Big Jay's not watching.
I'm sorry, I don't mean it like that, he's just a bigger guy.
He was in the Marines, he's bigger
Oh, no.
guy.
Oh.
What I've told Public Works is, I wanna coordinate taking down the fence with putting up the fence, cause I don't want it to be unfenced around the cemetery for an extended period of time.
Okay.
Makes sense.
It's not a total deterrent, but it's a separation that's there, at least until, and that the trees are the priority.
Yeah, okay.
That the first thing, those trees need to come down before we can pull up fences or put down
And
fences.
if the fence gets destroyed on the way down, that's okay too, with this coming out anyhow.
That's the truth.
And I don't know if you've discussed with Larry, his opportunities or whatever it is that he talked about having certain trees taken out and others left or something during that same process. I don't know if you remember that, we had that discussion.
We had that discussion, but I thought at the end of the day, he agreed that they just didn't
Anything
come
near
back.
the fence had to go, was I
That's
thought
right.
it was.
Mhm.
Did anybody remember that differently?
No, I just wanted to make sure that I remember.
We can reaffirm it with them, 'cause I don't see them coming
We're
down before the next
not
meeting.
pulling them down in the next 15 minutes, but I thought the end of that discussion was that there wouldn't be any picking and choosing near the fence, that all had to,
Yeah.
they had to come.
Now, I need to change the subject a little bit, but stay with Oak Hill if you don't mind. Now, Larry sent us, and I have not scanned it, put it in, I'm so sorry about that, but he gave us a printout of what Whitney had done up
Yeah.
there, with all kinds of data and information. Whatever we do around these cemeteries, I believe we still have budgeted 80 to 100 stones.
Yep.
So that would be a different kind of expense line than mowing or
Yep.
whatever, okay. Right, because, that's exactly what we need, I believe, what she provided us was spectacular information, and stones and locations or whatever. And she also repaired, and I'm not sitting here promoting hiring her, but I thought about that, I thought about the 80 to 100 every year. I thought maybe there's an opportunity or an interest there to start looking at that as well.
You mean to put it out to bid, or?
Well, I'm not sure we need to, but it might be the only way to do it. We'd have to sit down and figure out what it is we're gonna, what that 80 to 100 stones means. I know we talked about cleaning, but she did a great job rebuilding some of those. And I thought maybe maybe that's what this money or this proposal's about. I just wanted to throw it out there to cause more confusion, but anyways, there it is, and hopefully, I'll get that material scanned up there tonight, because I was really impressed with what she did, and the quality of her work too. You mentioned that before too.
Yes,
Yeah.
she does an excellent job, and I don't see why she shouldn't continue.
Well, if she's interested, but,
Yeah.
I don't know that we have anything in place to do that. That's, I guess,
Yeah, right.
other than the knowledge that we have 80 to 100 stones that can be repaired or
Mhm.
cleaned.
Well, if we're gonna have someone doing work on behalf of the town for, we need to be, this, doing it as a volunteer is one thing, but I'm not sure that extent really should be
It's a good point. I know what you're getting at.
we need to be.
Yeah, it needs to be payment for services.
Exactly, and if we've determined based on the two examples that we've had of how stones get repaired and fixed back up again, one was Stevens and one is,
Whitney Gifford.
Whitney Gifford, yeah.
and the consensus is that there's a preference for the kind of work done by Whitney, then that's the kind of work that we contract for.
Mhm. Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
As opposed to the more generalized
Exactly.
way that we did it before, because we didn't
We didn't
have,
know.
we didn't know.
Yeah. But he
I'm
did.
fine with that.
Did the best he could with, and I did talk to him about it. He disagreed with me on the spot about techniques and methods. And I thought, I'm not gonna argue with him, we got somebody in here, so he did check it. But when Larry brought that material, what we saw from what she did, I thought, wow, we're in it's a whole different realm of repair and cleanliness.
Well, and record keeping.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, which I think is what you've
Yeah,
emphasized.
I
would
really
be
like that too.
beneficial.
So we have something that's forever, so to speak, and we know that in 2023, this was done. And
Yep.
20 to 15 years from now, whoever's doing this.
Can look at that and
Look
say,
at that.
here are things that were done.
Because I know they did a lot up there in 95, I've got newspaper articles in it, and then within another year, I think it got vandalized.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
that's what happens. Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
All right, we'll go on to item B. I mean, we kind of did see with Oak Hill, I believe, but,
Yeah.
Old Methodist survey update.
We have a survey. We have a survey.
Survey
Yay.
says?
And it appears that the cemetery is on the property Not in the easement that runs up along the side of that lot. And what it looks like is that it's very close to where that stone
The marker is, yeah.
You know the stone that's already there, that marker?
Yep.
That appears to be very, where they said that,
Is that in the middle of the right of way then? Is that what that suggests or shows?
this is the easement that's here, this
Okay.
is the
Yeah,
house,
yeah.
and this is the, if I was,
I got glasses.
wait a minute, I have glasses on the top of my head. This is the remains of the church foundation
Yes.
right here. And this is the location of the cemetery as depicted on plan reference 2, which is, anyway, so this, there we go. That's the church. It's, the remains of the cemetery are considerably higher than that, because the foundation was in the, kind of in the woods here.
Is that a shed? Or is that the stone?
That's the stone.
No, this says remains of church foundation.
Well, that would be
And
on
this
this
says,
side of the line.
this says location of cemetery as depicted on plan reference 2.
This is an old survey that Ralph Gould did back, I can't remember the year. Alan found it because they acquire retiring surveys information, and it took quite a bit to find it. He found 3 or 4 different surveys of the area, but this is the only one that depicted the location of the cemetery. And he feels what happened was Vaughn bought a piece, and then in '79, and then bought another piece in '83.
Which goes like this. This does this, and it fits right here.
Yeah, yep,
And this is the other piece.
correct.
And it's right there on the other side of the other piece.
What
This-
is?
Do we have
The cemetery.
copies
Okay.
of that?
Now,
I've got
cemetery-
electronically, and
the
I
cemetery,
got it to Sue
I
and
was
get it to
told,
everybody.
Okay.
Probably was in the
because
back of the church.
Stephen and I
Is that
can
what
Well,
that
this is the,
see what
this is
you're all
the
talking
church
about.
foundation,
Oh,
and this
okay.
is
We can make sure
behind.
one of us
Yeah,
will get it to you.
we never were back there with a sonar, did we?
We didn't.
No.
But if we have a survey that shows us a location, this is this and this is behind it, then, and you see how that goes like that. And this is the piece that was acquired in
I don't know that he acquired the whole thing. I think he acquired
this.
another segment of it. Well, no, it would have been, you're right, it would have been over to here, I believe, but, and he
So that's the
said he
church
acquired
foundation.
one, acquired the second one, and then removed the stones, is how it likely went.
Which is where it is
Yeah,
back
okay.
here.
It's a pile back there too, but where they piled it up in rubble and.
Yeah, it's kind of you know, you can see the contours a little weird. One good thing Alan did say to me is they're now, and I told Sue this, they're now doing LiDAR. You know what LiDAR is? Pliskin Day is doing LiDAR stuff. So for like 2,000, and I don't know that we need it here, but if we ever need it in the future, they'll put a drone up and do LiDAR in an area, which will show it a lot easier, because you'll see the wooden coffins are gonna sink over time, and you'll see those
Yeah.
depressions a lot easier than you would. I mean, than doing
So
ground
what we
penetrating.
thought it was this was the church and we were in front of it. This is the church foundation.
and-
We were in front of
To
it.
the side of it.
And to
yeah.
the side,
Yeah.
and there's no room to the side.
Right.
You see where that foundation
Yeah.
is? That's where his lot ends. So it's way over. We were over here.
We were on the edge over there, cause we thought that's where it was. We had the public works go in there and clear
That's
the
right.
brush out of
But they cleared,
and they didn't find anything,
no,
cause it's not there,
that's right, it's back here.
back there.
And that's where it's depicted on this old map, and that's where he's just transferred it from there
Yep. I
onto
see.
the survey here, which shows it on this. It's very close to this right of way. This is this right of way that goes on the 917 River Road
Right.
property. It goes all the way up that edge.
Right. At one time it connected with the town farm road too, I think. at
I think
another
you're right.
line. Yeah.
Yeah, with like a road called Colton Road.
No, Colson's on the other side, but
On
this
the
is
other-
another one.
Okay, yeah, okay.
But that's, anyway, I guess that the answer is that we can talk to Mr. the owner of the property, about the fact that we now know what the location, which is back away from what he was doing anything with, you know, in terms of his own stuff, but this, where the church is here, that church foundation, that was clear to see, when we
Yeah.
were there.
Right.
It's behind it.
Any questions?
I'm excited.
No, I really am too.
Well, I'm excited for two reasons. One is the survey is done, amen. The second is that it clearly delineates what we have been kicking around as to a where and how and, you know, all that. A former survey shows where it was.
Well done, thank you.
I didn't do a
Yeah,
thing.
that's good.
Was
I'm
Alan?
glad you followed up, because, you know, there's other questions to follow on this now, as to what we're gonna do, whether it's an opportunity like you just suggested, as well as where do the stones go? You know, getting those stones.
Where do the
moved.
stones go? Are they in a condition to be moved?
Well, that's another question too.
Who's gonna answer that?
Well, I don't think, no offense, and I've mentioned this to Jay way past, I don't think the town should be responsible, or should take the chance of having those stones moved. They should be moved by people that know how to move those stones.
Or being told by people that move those kind of stones that it's not a good idea, one or the other.
I'm not gonna get into that discussion tonight, for sure.
I'm just saying that, that it takes someone with more expertise than we have
Yes.
as to how to
How
not
to
destroy
deal with it.
those stones in the
Yep.
process.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
We said on that one. So item D is Lamphor Cemetery tree hazard.
That's been discussed.
We touched that a little bit.
We are in the process of, Big J is taking it down a piece at a time. My town crew is cleaning it up a piece at a time. It's a pretty dangerous situation because of the way the tree is
Yeah.
leaning, and so nobody can be on site when he's working. So we go in and clean up afterwards, and
I'm gonna stop and
getting
take
done.
pictures, I'm sorry, I'm gonna stop, take pictures in the next few days in there. And also, there are other trees that really need to come out of there. I
Sure.
think, you know. So,
Mhm.
that's another part of the questions with all these cemeteries. And of course, the Lawrence one across the street's even more enclosed.
Yeah.
And I suspect in June, we may get some interest in visiting the Lawrence Cemetery from the DAR folks, because there is a Revolutionary War soldier. And that's the gentleman that was a British soldier.
Yeah, I
that was
recall
killed.
the flag was
Yeah,
on
And I
there.
got a hunch they're gonna wanna go up and look at that, so.
Yep. Okay. Item E is communication with DAR for June 22nd, 2024. And Dean's nice enough to attend. Dean and I spoke after the last meeting, and he has been able to reach out to some reenactment groups that would be willing. So I guess it's a conversation for the committee as to exactly what.
Mrs. Snow also
She called me.
called Chris
Yeah.
Okay.
and has someone who does reenactment
Yes.
for this time period.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
she is. I asked her when we got done to call you and explain to you exactly what she had in mind, but you're right. She had another, I don't know who it was, to be honest with you, Dean, but she had some gentleman who agreed that he could get the gang together, so to speak, and with their Revolutionary War garb, I guess, and do whatever they thought they were gonna do. But again, it's that coordination of all these different, things here that makes it kinda tough. And
Well, how do we want to proceed? Because I want to make sure we don't leave Dean hanging with, we don't need.
I can't answer that question because we don't have a real good plan in place as to what it is. I know she's working hard at her end to get things in her, you know.
She told me that she had secured reenactors for Revolutionary War that were somebody's husband's friend, somebody who had a group that did this and had all the various and sundry garbs, and they've secured Brown Hall
Yeah.
for reception, kind of refreshments place, following that. But that was just this past week that
Yes.
call came in.
Okay.
Yeah, she called me and I asked her, I said, I'll let Sue know, but she said, well, I'll call her. I said, well, that's the plan right from the get-go, to make sure you guys coordinate this stuff. And she's been very nice about it. She gave me the name, and I don't remember the gentleman's name that she was talking about. But she was really happy about getting Brown Hall, and I'm sorry for Dean here. I don't know what this means for him. I don't know. She may not even be, I'm sure she's not aware of what services he has.
she was aware because I told her
Oh,
that,
okay.
that Dean from the fort was looking, and she said, would they be reenactors from the Revolutionary, from that
Oh, okay.
time period?
Yeah.
And I said, I assume that
They were not, they have the muskets, and that's what we thought that would be better than nothing, was, even though they're not wearing the proper, Revolutionary War trait. They are, I was hoping that they would push me off to, the crew that does do reenactments at, Castine.
Maybe that's who this is.
Right, and that's where Paul Dudley, who's with 20th Maine, he said, I think we can make that work. It's a spot on the calendar, it's not a commitment right now. It's one of those, if you definitely don't need him, he would like to know that ahead of time so
Yep.
he can book his other events if he's asked on that same weekend, cause they do get kind of full of, it's all volunteer stuff.
Do we have a little bit of time to
Yeah.
make a determination?
They're so funny, they're
Oh,
all
I will email Elizabeth. I will email.
Sons of the American Revolution, that's the name of the group, I believe.
Oh, interesting.
I think that's what she told me, Sons of the American Revolution.
Oh, I'm not familiar with them. I know
I'm not
some of
either,
the
but I
Union
believe that's what
soldiers
she,
and-
that,
Well, I will email Elizabeth and ask her if definitely she has that,
Okay.
because that there's another opportunity through the fort. If she doesn't, we can't leave that hanging.
Right.
Okay.
does anybody know, right off the top of the head, and I should know, when do the flags get put up? By the 4th of July, by the 4th, or for the 4th, obviously, but they may not be up by June 22nd.
These flags of the memorial.
The cemetery
Oh,
flags,
cemetery flags. That's
for
usually-
the veterans and especially for the Revolutionary War veterans, so we gotta get those.
Cemetery
They usually
flags
are
It's Memorial
out
Day, isn't it?
about 2 weeks.
Memorial Day, right.
They're up from out Memorial.
Forgot
Day.
all about
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
They have to be out by
All the
Memorial
time that
Day.
the Cub Scouts with
Memorial
a
Day.
wreath going up through there. See, I'm new at this.
Okay.
So we'll have the flags. I mean, is there anything else we want to discuss as part of that day that needs to be discussed?
Not really at this time. but-
Well,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I have an odd little
Okay.
question here. The ceremony is going to take place about 1 o'clock?
At
Am
1
I
o'clock.
correct?
Yes.
Are we going to have those ladies and gentlemen with their signs on the bridge at the same time?
That's highly possible.
Okay.
Uh,
It's democracy.
Do we want to
It's
see if they want to do it at 11?
distraction, too.
I don't think that she'd be wanting to do that. but
Because she wanted people to be able to travel.
Yeah,
Yeah, they
That's
have
because
to
of
have
what?
time to get here.
she wanted
I
to.
Two?
just thought
Worried
it
about
would
the
be
bridge.
rather
It might be worth at least mentioning to Elizabeth.
Because they
conflicting.
do it from 12 to 12:30.
12 to 1?
No, 12 to 1:30, I think it is.
Yeah,
If
I think
remember right.
I think it's going to be in a time frame when
I
we're there
will,
too.
It's a good point.
I
David,
will talk to the organizers and see if there's a way that they can start earlier or later on that day, just so that that ceremony can take place without,
I would think I think they'd be fine, it's a good idea. I would just be cautious. Thank you for bringing that up. I didn't think of that.
Well, I just saw it as maybe sort of conflicting,
Yeah.
you
No,
know,
no.
distracting.
It's a good notice. I hadn't thought of that.
I don't think there was anything else about that. I could think of, I just wanted to report that I had talked to her.
Okay.
And told you to call her. And I
She
guess
did.
you're still looking at it, bringing a tent in down there perhaps?
What?
A tent, in case
Yes.
of weather.
Yep.
But there was the issue of parking, I think, last time, but I don't think that should be something to worry about.
no, I'm gonna let everybody worry about that on their own.
Right.
All right. If we're done with that one, item 5 is other items not on the agenda for discussion. Anyone?
Believe it or not, I have nothing.
I
Really?
don't at all.
Stop.
No? Okay. All right. Next meeting, March 28th.
I threw it out there because we were doing it, I
can do
assume
that.
there's a council meeting.
Yep, there is.
Is that, do you wanna, I think we should meet again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
okay.
Well, yeah, if we have, budget and the, bid for Oak Hill would be at least 2 items
Yeah.
to look at.
And there'll probably be more to do with this June 22nd thing.
Yes,
Well,
I'm
that
sure.
and the Riverview situation, we're
Yep.
gonna go from there, 'cause that's gonna take some time.
I'm happy to research something, so if you want somebody to do something, I don't know what it is, or if you wanna take it on, that's fine, but.
May I get a copy of those sometime? Or do you have electronic copy of those
Of
documents?
this,
No, the chart,
I have
Yes.
electronic,
oh, great, can we put it up,
I will
please, thank you.
email them to you.
Okay, that's fine, I'll put them on, that way they're available for you.
Okay.
Well done, thank you.
All right. So item 7 is adjournment.
So moved.
I'm
Second? There we go, got it.
All right, all in favor?
Yep.
All right, meeting adjourned.